Hey guys, this is John from US Dash Camera. Today I got a review on the Thinkware F50. Now this was sent to me for review by blackboxmycar.com, so I'd like to thank them for sending this review unit. And some of you may know I use the Thinkware F770 as my personal camera in my vehicle now, and I really like Thinkware. Now the F770 is their top-of-the-line 2-channel system, where this one is their entry-level one. Now it is still 1080p, but it still has the thermal protection, automatic parking mode, and what they claim to be a format-free memory card system. I'm not totally sure how it works, but it has something to do with how the files are saved and how the memory card's formatted to begin with. And you do have to make sure that the camera formats your card initially at the beginning, because this doesn't have Wi-Fi like the F770, so to change the settings you actually got to use your PC. So once the memory card is initially formatted in the camera and you put it in your PC, there'll be PC software and the settings options. So that's how you're going to change the parking mode settings or any other settings. Now this manual wasn't very useful to me actually. I was looking through it and I couldn't figure out how to change the settings. Looked on the website, couldn't figure out how to change the settings. That's when I stuck the memory card into my PC and figured it out. So here you can see we do have a barrel style or barrel plug power cord. Now if you buy this through blackboxmycar, you do get a free hardwiring kit. The free one is a generic one, so if you want the Thinkware brand hardwiring kit you got to pay a little extra, but I think the generic one works just fine. So here you can see the camera is really small. Like I mentioned, there is no GPS built in, so that's an additional cost if you want that also. It's a lot smaller than the equivalent entry-level Blackview camera, which I do not have anymore to compare, but they do seem to be competing slightly. Here you can see it uses a clear plastic mount, which I'm not a big fan of. I wish they would have had it more flush to the window somehow, like the F770 or the A119, but it is really cheap, so it is what it is. Overall, I like the look of it. Here you can see how much smaller it is than the G1W. I gotta say, I do like the standard mount included with the Thinkware more than any of the mounts that come with the G1W at least. There you can see on top the power in and the memory card on the bottom. So overall, feels like the same good quality that other Thinkware cameras have. And there you can see it next to my Thinkware F770 in the background. And just like the F770, this does actually have the voice alerts, which I really love.
Parking recording will now start.
So when you get back into your car and start it up, it'll actually tell you how many times it sensed an impact or motion, which is really cool.
During parking mode, motion detection recording 1 and event detection recording 1 occurred. Continuous recording will now start.
So while I love that this camera is really affordable and it still has the full featured automatic parking mode as my $400 Thinkware F770, the video quality is definitely its big downfall. Now during the day it's not too bad. It's definitely noticeably blockier and not as sharp looking as a lot of other cameras, even cameras that are cheaper like the G1W, but again, you're sacrificing video quality for other features like the parking mode. So when you buy something like a G1W or the A119, you're not getting that automatic parking mode. And what I mean by automatic parking mode is when the car shuts off, the hardwiring kit is connected to an always on fuse and then a fuse that's only on when the car is on. So it'll detect that your car shut off and switch to the parking mode where it only records when you have motion or G-shock detection. Now some people just use the motion detection at all times on the A119 or A119S, but the manufacturer actually claims that you shouldn't do that, that you're more likely to get errors in recording, but personally I haven't heard any issues or reports of that happening. But with this you can set it to just use the G-Shock detection and not have it go off anytime it senses motion going off. So that is one plus with this automatic parking mode over something like the A119. But the biggest advantage of this automatic parking mode over a lot of the cameras that just have motion detection is this is actually buffered just like the high-end cameras. So when it detects an impact or motion, it saves 10 seconds prior to that trigger plus 10 seconds additional, where a lot of the cheaper cameras won't start recording until after. Typically it's moments after, maybe just a second after, but some really cheap cameras it'll be as long as 5 seconds after. So the buffered feature of this parking mode is very vital to me. But the biggest downfall, even though I already said the day quality was okay, to most people it's probably not even acceptable. To a lot of people that look at cameras like the A119S or the A119, but the night quality is even worse. On this shot you can't read the license plate because my headlights are reflecting too much, but even when my headlights aren't reflecting, you can pretty much only read license plates when cars are right next to you and there isn't a lot of motion. So while that'll serve its purpose well enough in a parking lot hit and run with a parking mode, when you're driving around on the freeway, it's almost always impossible to read license plates at night. So in a way, this camera is sort of a tough sell. Its video quality just isn't good enough when you're driving, but maybe it would make a really good rear camera for someone who wants to have the full-featured, buffered parking mode in their rear window to protect them from parking lot hit and runs. I think that's how this camera would be best used, because from my experience with a entry-level Blackview DR450 one channel, I thought that camera had better video quality, especially at night. It looked a lot smoother. Now, you didn't have great brightness on that one either, but it did look a lot smoother and less pixelated. But that camera is also quite a bit more expensive, so price is going to come into play there too. I think that camera was good enough video quality where if I had to, I'd be okay with it as my front main camera. But when it comes to parking mode, most people pull into parking spots, and you are better off having a rear camera with parking mode. So that's why I was thinking that this Thinkware F50 would make a good rear parking mode camera. But if you really want the automatic parking mode and watch this footage and think it's good enough, then I do think it's still a good camera. The video quality just isn't good enough to me personally. Now, like I said, you do need to use your PC to change the settings. So it's just like the F770 though, where there's multiple different recording options, so you can partition different amounts for the different types of files, such as parking motion, parking incident, or manual recording is when you hit the emergency button on the actual camera. And then on the bottom you can see you can actually set whether or not you record over these different types of files. So you can have it so your manual recorded files never erase, or you can have them loop over just like normal files. So I'm not sure if competitors like Blackview or FineView or other Korean cameras have added that feature where you can set whether or not those files are recorded over or not, but when I had a Blackview DR650 I wasn't able to do that, so I really like this feature with Thinkware cameras. And again, if they did add it, comment down below or something, let me know. I know in my Thinkware F770 review I said that Blackview didn't have the voice notifications for how many G-Shock or motion detections it had during parking, but they actually added that to the 650S model of the Blackview. So I'm not always up to date with every new added feature, so again, let me know. Now, I did mention that the manual that came with it wasn't that great and not very helpful, but if you check the memory card after you format it in the camera, it does have a full-featured manual, and it's going to tell you pretty much everything you need to know about the camera, so it's nice that they did include this digital manual. So this is what the memory card is going to look like when you put it into your PC. There's pretty good organization there. And there's also this PC software, so you can view your files on here. You can actually change your settings through this PC software because it'll detect the memory card is formatted for the Thinkware camera, or there's a separate software little app on the memory card that you can change the settings with. But the software isn't anything special. It does let you play your files, filter through them. It's pretty basic. I think the Registrator viewer is better, but it's nice that Thinkware actually does support their products with first-party software, so that's always a good thing, I think. So all in all, if you're looking for really good video quality, this definitely isn't a camera for you. This camera is for someone who's looking for that buffered automatic parking mode, and they don't mind sacrificing some of the video quality to make sure that their car is protected when they're parked in a parking lot. So like I said, I think it would make a really good rear parking mode camera, but if you want a little bit better video quality, then I'd check out the DR450 one channel from Blackview, but that one is more expensive. This one starts at only $93 without a hardwiring kit. If you get it through Blackbox My Car with their free hardwiring kit, it's $110, so it's not really free because you're paying more, but then it's even more for the Thinkware brand hardwiring kit. On Amazon it's slightly more than $110, I think it's around $120 with the Thinkware hardwiring kit, but even then the camera base price is about $30 cheaper than the Blackview. Now while I said it was $93 starting without the hardwiring kit, I absolutely wouldn't recommend this camera without the hardwiring kit, because without the parking mode this camera just isn't good enough quality. So I would, you'd be expecting to pay around $110 to $120, and at that price it's still a pretty good price for how great Thinkware's automatic parking mode is. So if you really want that parking mode, this is still a camera you should consider. Anyways, that's my review of the Thinkware F50. I'd like to thank Blackbox My Car again for sending this out for review. Of course, as usual, you can check down in the description below for where you can purchase this camera. I'll also throw a link down to my review of the Blackview 450 model. And of course, drive safe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.